Hello everybody, this is John Feldt. Welcome to the NCGA FMC Agricultural Weather Outlook, February 21st, 2015. Well, for almost all of us, it's been unusually cold. For some of us, we've had an early part of the winter was not so bad, but now across the entire Corn Belt, we have unusually cold weather, and in some cases, especially the southern and the eastern Corn Belt, we have quite messy winter weather as well. Now, over the last 7 days, here's precipitation. The areas in yellow in particular in Kentucky and brushing southern Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, that was the band of significant snow that fell, and also some ice further south. And that was really the big precipitation news over the last week. Now, further north, there was some light snow. Those areas of blue indicate some light amount of snow. You can see some enhancement of snow on the lee side of the lakes here, Lake Michigan. But for the most part, it was fairly light over the upper part of the Corn Belt. And you can see that here in the percent of normal for the last 7 days. Areas in red indicate unusually dry weather. And here's that axis of heavier precipitation right here. And that was very heavy band of snow. And you can see it did sort of brush parts of the southern sections of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, parts of Missouri as well. Now there's a second system pushing in as I'm making this briefing that's going to bring some another band of snow over the eastern Corn Belt. But the upper Midwest has been fairly quiet. So here's the snowfall. It's not really capturing the current area of low pressure that's moving across, but this is the snow, and you can see the green dots are 10 to 15 inches, and really over Kentucky, not only was it very heavy, but it was very widespread. And then you can see a couple dots there in southern parts of Illinois and Indiana showing that heavier snow in that region. And here's a close-up of snow depth on the ground, and you can see the cutoff right here over the southern sections here, quite a bit of snow, and then it really drops off right here over the central part of this region, and then heavier snow up again to the north. But very little snow, been sort of notable this winter so far, very little snow over the western Corn Belt, Missouri River Basin in this region here, South Dakota, eastern or western North Dakota, all of Nebraska has been very quiet. So one of the things I look at very closely this time of the year is the water equivalent of the snow. And that means if the snow melts, when it snow melts, and it's not going to be anytime soon, how much water content is in that snow. And there's a number of reasons I watch that. From a flood standpoint, that's going to turn into runoff. But from a soil moisture standpoint, this is something that could be good if it's dry, or it could be bad if it's wet. And just sort of keeping an eye. And we get into the darker shades of purple here. That's getting close to 1 inch of water equivalent. And especially if we get into this area of lighter shades of purple, like up in this region here. We've all heard the Northeast U.S. has been so snowy. Look how the water equivalents are up here. That's above 4 inches. But this is a fairly significant amount right in here. A couple streaks here. Northern Illinois, definitely Michigan here. Northern Wisconsin. So a couple areas, but not all that widespread. And again, western parts of the Corn Belt, where it's been dry, we're not, at least so far, getting that recharge, winter recharge. And that's an area that I'm watching closely. I'll be talking this week with a drought update. I'll be talking about that region. So we're not getting winter recharge in this region, at least not yet. And we're getting sort of in the latter part of the winter here. Now, temperatures are going to be the big story. They are the big story. They have been the big story. They will continue to be the big story. And look at the temperature departures over the last week. Purple is very significant, 15 degrees below normal or more. Kentucky is over 20 degrees below normal. And the snow on the ground will have an impact on temperature anomalies. It'll keep it colder than normally would occur. So some areas where we have a deep snowpack, that's going to stay colder than normal until we melt that. I mentioned we have a system early this week. Here it is moving through this weekend. It's going to bring some snow from parts of Missouri right across the eastern Corn Belt, and it could be fairly significant. It could be 4 inches, even 6 inches in spots. So that's going to bring the snow cover, which was just covering sort of the southern area here. It's going to bring it a little bit further north into the eastern Corn Belt. Now, other than that, here's your jet stream pattern. I've been talking about this. It seems like for weeks and weeks now, we have this dip in the jet stream over the eastern U.S., bringing cold temperatures down into the region, and that's going to persist now for quite some time. I'd like to go through the progression of this cold air over the next week or so. The areas in purple are the coldest anomalies. Now, these aren't actual temperatures, but it's the number of degrees below what normally would occur. So purple is generally at least 15 degrees below normal. So as we go through the weekend into early next week, look at the cold air spreading down. Now, this really light shade of purple, that's that 20 to 30 degrees below what would normally occur. And look at this. This is by Sunday. And then as we get into Monday, we have the entire region unusually cold, but generally centered from Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri onto the eastern Corn Belt. Look at that with that fresh snow in Illinois and Indiana. We're looking at 25 degrees below normal. Now, as we get into the week, we see some slight moderation. This is on Tuesday. It's hardly anything, really. And then here comes another one right behind it. Here's by Wednesday. So I'm not even going to say that's much of a break. Here we go by the latter part of the week. This is Thursday. Holy cow, look at this. 15 to 25 degrees below normal over the entire region. This is an amazingly cold pattern. Then as we get into the latter part of this week, now we're looking at Saturday next weekend, still well below normal. Here we go into latter part of the weekend, next weekend, and here's another push of incredibly cold air. This is March 3rd, so into the foreseeable future. Probably the next chance for a break is going to be around March 6th, and you can sort of see that working its way through. Here we get into towards the 6th, we start to see some moderation. Looking out ahead, and this is out there a ways. This is out in the early part of March, March 4th. But look at early March. We're still looking at sub-zero overnight low temperatures extending the area in white well down into the Corn Belt. Almost the entire Corn Belt sub-zero readings as way out there in March 4th. Now that could change. It's way out there. But just to show you what is possible that this cold air is going to be so persistent. Now let's take a look at precipitation. Although we have unusually cold air, oftentimes the boundary of the between the cold air and the warmer air is where the action is. So with the cold air sinking in, that's more of a stable pattern, cold pattern. The boundary with the warm air is going to be to our south, and for the most part, precipitation is going to be to the south and to the east of our area, and we're going to have a very large dome of relatively light or even no precipitation over the next 7 days. Now, as far as snow goes, I think the one area we need to watch is going to be very early this weekend into early this week is the system that's moving through early. Here we go. And this looks like there is the possibility of as much as 4 to 6 inches in a few spots in here, and a general 3 to 4 inches right through the eastern Corn Belt from central and southern Indiana into Ohio, as well as parts of central Illinois. Now, not sure how many ways to say this, but let's one more time look at it. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, no doubt, well below normal, generally dry. And then as we get into the 8 to 14 day outlook, still averaging below normal, maybe not quite as much so, and then precipitation generally below normal as well. So it looks like your takeaway points, unusually cold air into early March. It looks like if we do get that break in this pattern, it might be generally around March 6th is my guess right now, but that's way out there. I'll be updating you with that. Below normal precipitation. Now, if you have a question, I'd love to take some questions from you. I can either answer them either individually, I can answer them in one of my posts I put out, or I could even address them here in one of my briefings. So if there's something you'd like to see that I'm not talking about, there's my email. I'd like to hear from you. Just send me your question. Also, pass along information about the Ag Advisor program to others that you know and have them sign up. Stay warm this week, bundle up, and I'll be talking with you again next weekend.